Welcome back everyone. Today I actually have a bridal trial that I did late last year. This is my beautiful friend Katie. Thank you so much Katie for agreeing to be on my channel. Everyone give her a warm welcome in the comment section down below. The brief for this look was, as Katie said it, a little bit glam, a little bit luminous, and a little bit smoky. And that is something I can identify with. And since it's bridal, it ought to be long wearing and photo friendly too. Do subscribe if you like what I do, and enjoy. When I do makeup on faces other than my own, I tend to start with the brows first. And I don't really know why I do that. I think it's because it kind of allows me to better understand their face and their face structure, like, for example, how high the eyeshadow should come up, etc, etc. So this is a nice neutral brown eyebrow pencil. It's not too warm, but it's also not super ashy. It's just a kind of nice middle of the road. And I'm filling in any bald spots and streamlining the overall shape. Now Katie's brows are naturally quite clean and sharp, right? Whereas mine are long and fluffy. Hers better lend themselves to a crisp shape. So I'm adding a small amount of concealer to clean up the upper and the lower perimeter of the brow and really blending away any edges because I don't want them to look carved, like super carved, just clean and polished. Shape Tape makes for a really great eye primer too, so I'm going to drag that concealer down onto the lid and all around the larger tear duct area. I use concealer very sparingly on the lids because I find that if you're too generous, it can make the lid look kind of crepey and cakey, and who wants that? Not me. For eyeshadow, I mostly use the Viseart Neutral palette. I love this thing. It has some warmer tones, it has some cooler tones, it has neutral tones. The formula is just superb and it never lets me down. We went for a rather classic eyeshadow placement that just adds more contour to Katie's already amazing almond-shaped eyes. I am so jealous. So I just shaded the sockets and then deepened the outer corner of the eye with some matte shades. Katie did ask that this eyeshadow lean a little on the warmer side, and I did that, but I was careful not to go uber warm, like Urban Decay, Naked Heat kind of warm, because I do see orangish tones as being quite a trendy thing, and we were aiming for more of a timeless look. I then applied a champagne shadow to the lid to brighten up the eyes. Finding a neutral champagne shade is so hard. It's like finding the Holy Grail. I tried numerous on Katie, and some of them leaned very pink on her, and others were icy, and some were too golden. And then we settled on this beautiful Natasha Denona number, just right. Onto eyeliner. I made an extra effort here to really coat the skin between the lashes and under the lashes, doing some thorough tightlining so that there are no gaps of skin. I found the least invasive way to do this is to have your client close their eyes and then lift the lash line a fraction using your thumb, and this seems to minimize that blinking reflex. Then again, you know, there are people whose eyes will not tolerate tightlining at all, in which case you just got to do your best. Katie wanted a bit of a wing liner, nothing too big or too statement because again, big sharp wings tend to read as quite trendy, and one day I'm sure they're gonna look a little bit dated. I'm not saying that you shouldn't wear a big sharp wing for your wedding. Girlfriend, you live your best life. I'm just explaining why we went for more of a delicate wing style here. P.S. I love doing wing liner on other people. Haha, mwahaha. It's so much easier than doing it on yourself. I'm using the Makeup Geek gel liner in Immortal. There were a few makeup artists there on Katie's big day, and they saw me using this liner and said, "Oh my god, Makeup Geek Immortal, it's the best, right?" And I was like, I know, right? And then a few weeks ago, one of you guys left a comment on my Instagram saying that Immortal had been discontinued, and I double checked and you're right, and I'm heartbroken. Katie informed me that she was going to have lash extensions for the wedding, so I applied a whole bunch of individuals just for the trial to emulate the look of lash extensions, right? So we could see how the makeup would look on the day. If you are a bride-to-be and you're comfortable with the idea of false lashes or lash extensions, I would totally recommend it. Individual lashes especially, they're so comfortable, but lashes in general draw attention to the eyes in a way that I think other 2D kind of makeup can't. Change of pace. Let's complete the base makeup and then we can circle back to the eyes for the finishing touches. So oftentimes there is a little bit of eyeshadow that would have dropped under the eyes, and that's why I actually prefer to do the eyes first. So now we can just sweep away that fallout using some moisturizer, and while I'm there, I'm just gonna moisturize the whole face. Why not? I used a combination of two primers. So a smoothing primer through the central portions of the face. This is where people will typically have some texture and some visible pores. And then on the outer perimeters of the face, I used a hydrating primer. Katie's skin type could be described as normal to dry. It's a little bit drier on the outer portions of the face, so a hydrating primer will really quench any of that dehydration, and then the foundation will mesh better with her skin. On that note, foundation. I do have a video all about my favorite foundations. I'm going to link that in the description box down below. But one of my favorite formulas for special occasions and for photographic settings is the Armani Luminous Silk. This stuff is unbelievable. It is so incredibly photogenic. If you're doing your own makeup and you're not sure what foundation you're going to use, I'd say get samples of a whole bunch of different foundations and then test them prior to the event. If you're concerned about flashback, then you can do some detective work and inspect the ingredient lists for titanium dioxide and zinc oxide. Those are the two frequent culprits that contribute to that foundation flashback. For under eye concealer, I'm using the Tarte Shape Tape. I get the feeling as though this product is getting a little bit of a cakey reputation. Yeah, like it's synonymous with heavy makeup. But I think on the right skin type, Shape Tape can look beautiful as long as you work it in really thin layers. And I chose Shape Tape for this bridal makeup because A, it's really long wearing, and B, it's up there, really up there on my list of photogenic products. After one thin layer, I could still see a slight blue hue, kind of a discoloration under the eyes. So I went in with some of the NARS Soft Matte Concealer, just a very precise application near the tear duct. The NARS product is ideal for this purpose because there is this fab range of peachy colors. So I implement it as kind of like a last minute color correcting product, just in little tiny areas. I asked Katie, like on a regular day, what part of your makeup would fade away first? And she said her under eyes. So I went in with the low-key baking method. I'll link that method in the description box below. But I used the low-key baking method to set the under eye concealer. And it's great for special occasions because it really helps to enhance longevity. I do want to point out here that Katie's young, yeah? I didn't use the baking method on the mother of the bride, for example. And nothing stops you from experimenting with makeup because makeup doesn't have an age limit. But from a practical standpoint, I think it's worth pointing out that your baking methods are going to best suit younger skin types. Before I set the rest of the face, I'm going to do some spot concealing. I like to keep the foundation at a nice sort of medium range. And then if there are any other blemishes that peek through, that is the work of spot concealing. More specifically, Kevyn Aucoin's Essential Skin Enhancer, the best. Then I'm going to very lightly set the face with translucent powder because I'm going to be using powder bronzer and powder blush, and that setting powder will ensure that my face color goes on evenly. If you want to see a bridal makeup using cream products, I have actually already filmed one, and I'm going to link that in the description, but I know Katie, and Katie likes to party. I wanted this makeup to be able to withstand any amount of dancing, so I went with the powder products because I think they're a safer bet in terms of longevity. So a bit of matte bronzer around the edges of the face, just bringing some shape, and dimension back. If photos are important to you, I would apply just a touch more bronzer and blush than you would on a regular day. You don't need to go cake face. We want it to look nice in person too, right? Just a little more, because photography does tend to bleach out the color and the definition in the face. And then for blush, I used two blushes. First, a luminous blush over the larger cheek area, and then I took a more pigmented blush just on the very apples of the cheek. And the idea here is that you get that really soft, diffuse effect and the colors perfectly melt into one another. I think this is what Charlotte Tilbury had in mind when she created that, swish and pop? I call it the nipple blushes. Those two-tone blushes that give you a very diffused color. It's a clever technique. Katie was like to me, ooh, I love highlight. And so I showed her my highlight collection and she was like, what the hell? What can I say? I may or may not enjoy a little bit of highlight myself. So we swatched, I want to say 154 highlights. And she, in the end, chose a Jouer highlight. Beautiful choice. And dusting that in the obvious places, tops of the cheekbones and the cupid's bow. And since Katie doesn't get super shiny or oily, I swished a little bit of that highlight above the arch of the brow, a little bit on the bridge of the nose, good measure. Some finishing touches on the eyes. We're going to set the brows into place with a clear brow gel. And then for the lower lash line, we went a little bit smoky. because this was a reoccurring theme in Katie's reference photos. I want to talk about that. Make sure you bring reference photos to your trial and pinpoint what is it about that makeup that you like. I know, like, I always get a little bit sheepish when I take reference photos to my hair colors because I don't want to seem too pushy, but roles reversed, I can assure you that your artist will appreciate some photo references. For example, you say smoky eye, but like my idea of smoky might be very different to your idea of smoky, and some pictures can help to bridge any miscommunications. Extra pop of highlight here around the tear ducts and on the ball of the eyelid. I love this. Just a bit of extra brightness and sparkle in photos. And then some Urban Decay All-Nighter Setting Spray. This will help to extend the wear of your makeup, and it also helps to settle any powders on the skin and make it look more natural. You can even use this before you start your makeup and after you finish your makeup, and that will extend the wear time of your makeup even further. We tested many different lip options because different lipsticks can pull totally different shades depending on your complexion. So the first was the Charlotte Tilbury lip liner in Iconic Nude. Making sure to really fill in the entire lip here so that it wears evenly and you're not left with this kind of strange looking outline. And then we're topping with the Charlotte Tilbury Matte Revolution in Pillow Talk. I think Katie felt like this was perhaps a little bit too deep and a little bit too muted for her preferences. So then we tried the Boots No. 7 lip liner in Nude, which isn't quite as dark as the previous lip liner. And then we topped with MAC Pure Zen. This is lighter and brighter and it has a little bit more of a sheeny finish. Oh, hang on. Sorry, a few more finishing touches here. Mascara of course. So you want something really waterproof that's not going to run if maybe someone gives an awesome speech. I 110% trust the MAC Extended Play Gig Black Lash. But let's say, for example, you've hired an artist and there is an instance where you would rather use your own product. Like you have this one eyeliner that you found that doesn't smudge on you. Speak up. You know your face best. Tiny bit of sculpting here at Katie's request. This is totally optional, depending on what makes you feel good. A little bit under the jawline, around the cheekbones, through the temples. Just being really careful to soften any edges. And that is the final look with this particular lip color. I love this, but I think it's a little bit more of a lip than Katie would typically wear. So we removed that and we just applied a gloss. This is a Laura Mercier number. It's so pretty. It's clear, but it has this golden reflect running through it. And this was the lip that she actually ended up wearing on the day. So while I typically recommend wearing a little bit more color on the lips for, your photography purposes, ultimately, wear what makes you feel comfortable and what makes you feel beautiful. And that's kind of like the too long didn't read version of this entire video. Here are some ideas, here are some guidelines, but just wear what makes you happy. If you want to see more of me doing makeup on other faces, then let me know in the comment section down below, and that way I can kind of gauge whether you're enjoying this and whether I should film any more. Also, come say hello to me on Instagram, at Karima McKimmie. I post sneak peeks of videos and my favorite outfits of the moment, and I do PR unboxing videos on Insta stories, actually. It's fun. You should check it out. I hope you're having a wonderful day, whatever it is you're up to, and I shall speak to you all very soon. Bye!